In the previous video, we learnt about using loops in Swift. In this video, we're going to take a look at how to declare and call functions. We'll also learn about closures and how to declare them, what trailing closures are, and how they are treated in Swift to capture values. Functions define codes that perform a specific task. All the functions in Swift have types consisting of a parameter and return type. Functions can have its parameters and can optionally have a return value defined when it's declared. In Swift, the functions are declared beginning with the func keyword followed by the name of the function, a pair of parentheses where you can define optionally the parameters of the function and its return type using an arrow followed by the type optionally, a hyphen with the right angle bracket and the type we want the function to return. Let's declare our first function in Swift. We will pass two integers, and it returns the sum of the two integers passed as parameters. So, function sum two numbers, open parentheses, x of type int, separated by a comma, and y of type int, close parentheses. Now, the right angle bracket and the int type to return followed by a pair of curly braces. Inside the body of the function, we need to return the sum. So, return x plus y, and it's done. We have a function returning the sum of two numbers passed as arguments. Now, we need to call it, and the way to call it is to put in the name of the function, followed by a pair of parentheses, where inside are the arguments passed to the function. Let's do it. Sum of two numbers, open parentheses, and the compiler auto-completes for us the rest. We put in the first argument 2 and in the second 6. As we can see in the first parameter of function, it's just putting the integer literal, the number. And in the second, we need to put the name of second parameter declared in the function, followed by a colon and number, or literal to pass the function, calling a function with a parameter more than one. Any argument after the first is labeled according to its corresponding parameter name. One important point about the functions that return a type is that always inside the body of the function, it is needed to return a type with the return keyword. It returns a special value of type void for functions without a defined return type. Functions can have both a local parameter and an external parameter name. An external parameter name is used to label the arguments passed when function is called. The local parameter name is always used inside the function. For example, we can change the function sum of two numbers to have two external parameters with different names from the local parameters. To do it, we need to put before the parameter x the name first number, and before the parameter y the name second number, followed by blank space. And then, as we can see, the compiler tells us that the function arguments have been changed. Let's fix it. We are going to delete the call to the function and try it again. If we type the name of function, the compiler auto-completes for us the rest. Excellent, isn't it? And now, the way of calling the function change. As we can see, we need to put the name of the first argument, first number, and second argument, second number, as specified in the external parameter names. When you call a function, its external names must be always used. You can also write an underscore before, if we don't want to use the external name in all the cases. We can have default values for the parameters in functions and assign values as well. Swift also supports variadic parameters for cases where we need to pass several arguments to a function without a need to know how many there are. Refer to the following link to know more about it. As said before, in Swift functions always have a type assigned. In case of return any type, this is the type of the function, else its return type is void, which is also expressed with 2 parentheses. We can use function types in Swift just like any other type. For example, let's declare a new math func equal to the function sum of 2 numbers without parentheses. If we see in the right panel the type of the variable math func, we will see that it's a function receiving 2 int parameters and returns another int. We can call them the variable math func, as we did with the function sum of 2 numbers previously. In the declaration of the variable math func, we omit the type annotation because the compiler infers its type for us automatically. Great! So, as every function has a type, we can pass functions as parameters and return functions inside another function in Swift. This will be very useful later when we see it in closures. Before we finish with the functions topic, I would suggest another interesting topic: nested functions. In Swift, we can nest functions inside other functions. Nested functions are hidden from the outer scope, but we can call and use it by their enclosing function. For more information about it, refer to Closures in Swift are blocks of code functionality that we can pass around and use it in our code. It can capture and keep the references to constants and variables used in the context in which they are defined. We can see it closely. Functions are closures. In Swift, we can define closures using a focused syntax using brackets. So, for example, let's define the new sum of 2 int function using closures expressions. Let sum of 2 int equal to open and close brackets. And just inside the brackets, we are going to define the parameters of the function. In this case, 2 int variables. For this, we're going to define the parameters called x and y, as we did for the functions x colon int, comma, y colon int. For return type, in this case, int, followed by the in keyword, and return the sum of x and y. So, we wrote the function sum of 2 int in a more inline way. Swift infers automatically the return type of the function based in the parameters type. Therefore, we can omit the return type in declaration of the function. We can even omit the return keyword because it's inferred from the context that the line returns an expression. And this way, it's shorter to write a closure expression. The in keyword in the closure is a way to declare an anonymous function. As we can see, we can omit the name of the function, the func keyword. Also, for the in keyword, we can separate the definition of the function. In cases where we need to pass a closure expression to a function as the function's final argument, and since the closure expression is long, we can write it as a trailing closure. A trailing closure is a closure expression written outside the parentheses of the function call it supports. So, for example, let's see a new function called func with closure that has a parameter. A closure receives nothing as a parameter and returns void. We can then call it omitting the parentheses after the function name and put the brackets inside, defining the body of the closure. In this video, we learn about declaring and using functions and closures. In the next video, we learn about a new interesting data type introduced in Swift called optionals. I hope to see you in the next one.